So how can you improve your grip strength for bow staff training? First of all, why do you even need better grip strength? The better grip that you have on your staff, the more powerful your strikes will be at the impact, the more able you're going to be to actually successfully block, deflect an attack, transition grips, etc. So many important things to our bow training. Something that I've been experimenting with lately is improving my grip strength, not just through regular bow training, but otherwise. So I got some grip strengtheners here. I got this 2-pack, I think it was like $12 or something on Amazon. It was pretty affordable. And what I've been doing is literally working on strengthening the hand muscles and the fingers themselves. And it's actually showing me an improvement in my own manipulations of the staff, my own ability to have better control, and just in everyday life. I mean, it might be in my head, but you happen to have to pick things up in corners or in cracks all the time, and the strength of my fingers are just seemingly have improved. So I definitely urge my students to get something like this. They have these really basic ones, which you can actually adjust the resistance right here just by screwing it from 10 kilograms to 40 kilograms. I started a little bit lower. I moved it up to about 40 now. What I do, honestly, I don't know if I should be, but I tend to drive with just one hand. So I'm driving, and I'll squeeze it in for 10 seconds. Hold that for 10 seconds. I'm still driving too. And then release. Do 5 sets of that. I'll switch hands. You know, obviously I'm not doing it in dangerous areas, but otherwise I've been doing that as a way to get that in, right? So no extra time. Otherwise, you could do them both at the same time. You could add this to the end of every workout you do as an easy way, or maybe every time at the end of your arm workout or after you do your bow training. Work on that. Work on strengthening your grip. Some other things I want to talk about is the importance of your forearm strength. So you might already know a lot about some forearm exercises, but you might not be training your forearms very much. If you have a dumbbell, definitely working wrist curls on like a curl bench, or just using your own arm, for example, to give yourself a flat surface to work on. Wrist curls, reverse wrist curls. You can do these extended horizontal wrist curls, really isolating the forearm, getting good work on just one arm at a time or both arms at a time. Definitely adding that in, just 5 minutes of that a couple of times a week, again, at the end of a bow workout or at the end of a weight workout that you do. And then when it comes to our staff, we can do things like figure 8 spins. Figure 8 spins work on our forearm strength and our grip strength really, really well. These figure 8 spins are flourishes, right? You can keep it very tight to work your grip strength more, or loosen it up some. We can easily transition to the other hand. I mean, keep your arm as straight as you can and do this for a couple of minutes straight and see if your forearms are tired. You can go with both hands. Also works your core. And this has a lot to do with how heavy your staff is. This is my heaviest staff. It's about 3 pounds. It's definitely best for working these types of exercises. So I urge you to do that. Another thing you can do, it's kind of crazy, but literally practice your bow staff techniques with a fingertip grip. I'm just grabbing with my fingertips. Kind of crazy, but it's an effective way to force you to just use your finger muscles. So it's not like a training fad or something. I actually really urge that you work more on your grip strength. Something that I'm finding that's helping me in my own training, especially on the combat sparring side of things. And I did have a student that asked me about repetitive stress injuries because he was a newer student, and he said that he's been getting a repetitive stress injury, it seems like something like that, on his wrist. And whenever you start a new type of activity with your body that it's totally not used to, and you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, that's kind of awkward. You're definitely going to have some sort of uncomfortable, awkward results. So we need to be very careful not to do the exact same techniques too often. We need to actually practice both sides, and we need to be careful that we're doing our technique right and that our grip is actually proper, and that we are strengthening our forearm, our wrists are lubricated, all these things like that. Sometimes students will do really awkward strikes like that, for example, and they manipulate the wrist too far to the outside, and sometimes it has to do with sliding the hand down the staff some. transitioning the grip. And some of our combat strikes, we don't want to just keep our wrists twerked every time. We can turn our hand over and transition to an overhand grip. Our traditional techniques are pretty set in stone because of the way that we demonstrate them in kata. But when it comes to sparring and fighting, playing around and figuring out what makes sense that doesn't really go against the grain, you want to use your own body in a natural way. All right, so hope that was helpful in some way though. Guys, I urge you to get some grip strengtheners, start working on that, start training your forearms more and your hand and your finger muscles as something that will actually help you in your bow training.